How to deal with difficult in-laws elegantly. In this episode, we will be discussing a very important challenge that many women face in their marriages, dealing with difficult in-laws. Whilst you may be in your rights to give them a taste of their own medicine, this is not the right solution and is far from being a considerable option for the woman of elegance. So what do? Let them walk all over you whilst you watch and say nothing? Absolutely not. Here, we'll be discussing how you can remain poised and elegant, especially when you find yourself in these unfavorable situations. Generally speaking, your in-laws will remain a part of you and your spouse's life. Hate it or like it, they are important to your husband and therefore important to you by extension. If they are easygoing and peace-loving, then that is wonderful. You can count yourself blessed. However, some women aren't that fortunate in this area and must find solutions to deal with the issues that constantly arise when striving to establish a cordial relationship with the in-laws. It's like perpetually trying to walk on eggshells. All the same, the way you handle the situation will determine if the relationship breaks down totally or you succeed in winning your in-laws over. Creating a harmonious relationship between you and your in-laws takes some effort, but it is worth it. Don't just do it for them, but do it for the welfare of your marriage. Your spouse will feel content knowing you are doing everything possible to foster a peaceful coexistence with his family. So let's establish how you can deal with your difficult mother-in-law, the father-in-law that dishes out unsolicited advice all the time, and your brother-in-law who believes your kitchen is a drive-through restaurant. Oh, and of course, let's not forget your sister-in-law who thinks your wardrobe is a free boutique. My wonderful elegance ladies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vivian and I am the founder of Woman of Elegance, which is a platform I've created to help women globally become the most elegant, classy, and refined women that they can be. If you haven't already done so, please do consider subscribing to my channel and sharing this video with friends you think may benefit from it. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Tip number 1, sort things out with your spouse first. Trust me, you need your husband on your side when there is conflict between you and your in-laws, especially when they are the difficult, hard to please type. Firstly, work out your boundaries and your expectations with your spouse so that you are both on the same page. You're in this marriage together, so your stance on crucial family issues should be his stance too. Having a united stand on family matters helps to diffuse conflicts that could arise from dissenting views from his family. Sorting these things out between the both of you right from the start goes a long way to avoid those awkward situations where your spouse is trapped between having to stand with you, his beloved wife, and his beloved mum. Be gracious and gentle when trying to reason with your husband and be ready to reach a compromise where necessary. Your husband probably shares a strong bond and similar perspectives with his family, so please do take that into consideration when deciding how to run your home. Remember that he has known and loved his sister for most part of his life, even though you may dislike her. So whatever is the case, don't put unnecessary tension on your marriage by trying to make him choose between her and you. Maintaining a united front with your spouse reduces arguments and disagreements with your in-laws. So ladies, what would you do if your bossy mother-in-law says you should sell your house, which is in a busy town, and relocate to less noisy suburbs? Are you actually going to stand there and argue with her? I mean, does she have the title deeds to the property? Sometimes, just for the sake of peace, just smile and stay silent. Not everything is worth arguing over. Tip number 2, set boundaries and enforce them. Decide together with your spouse what your boundaries are and do not hesitate to communicate this with your in-laws. Seize every opportunity you can to let them know what your family holds as values and rules. Another thing you have to bear in mind is that setting boundaries is one thing, but enforcing them is an entirely different thing. I'm not saying you should be adamant and stubborn and inconsiderate. Nonetheless, it is very necessary to be strict in enforcing your set boundaries. For example, after informing your brother-in-law Steve that even though you reside in the same town as him, you don't want unannounced visitors, what does this mean? Well, ladies, even if it means not opening the door when he shows up unannounced when your husband is not in, then so be it. This won't make him hate you. If anything, it earns you some respect respect. Enforcing your boundaries shows your in-laws that you are disciplined, but at the same time, you know when to relax the rules, especially in emergency situations when your in-laws need your help. Tip number 3, maintain a healthy distance. It is important to maintain a respectful distance with your difficult in-laws because your relationship can quickly become acrimonious, and this can be very toxic, especially when there are children involved. For example, if you're from a conservative home where you only visit family members once a year and you marry into an extroverted family where everyone makes it a point of duty to keep tabs on the other person, you may find frequent visits from your in-laws extremely disturbing and annoying. On the other hand, you and your husband cannot be frequently gracing the dinner table of his sister whilst insisting that you don't like frequent visits from her. You have to be fair. Maintaining some level of distance in every relationship is important, more so when you are dealing with difficult in-laws. But again, make sure this is communicated effectively. When there is no distance and you find your in-laws encroaching on your private family life, people are bound to overstep their mark and the relationship can quickly turn sour. Tip number 4, move in silence. I have said many times in previous videos the importance of remaining silent in certain situations. When you follow the rule of silence when dealing with your in-laws, this can save you tons of stress. A tyrannical mother-in-law is likely waiting for an opportunity to pounce on what you said, dissect every single sentence and use it to make you look like a witch and pass you off as worthless. Use fewer sentences to convey what you wish to say. Smile politely and use respectful monosyllables to fill up the space. It is better not to give them more fuel to feed the fire of their resentment. Maintaining silence when you're with them doesn't mean you look down on them or detest their presence, but it just means you would rather be silent than to provide another opportunity for hurtful arguments and disagreements to ensue. A healthy distance will benefit both you and your in-laws in the long run. Tip number 5, don't use a go-between. Sometimes the people we consider difficult may not be as bad as we think. It could be just that you are yet to get to know them well, or maybe they are just rough diamonds appearing mean on the outside but actually loving on the inside. When you add the fact that their unfriendly disposition towards you may be born out of sheer unbridled love for their son or their brother, but they probably assume that you're not good enough for him, you will find that your in-laws could actually grow to become good friends of yours. So you may argue that your mother-in-law is insufferable and you've reached the end of your tether with her. However, elegance is about being peaceable with everybody as far as it depends on you. Try to give them a chance to prove themselves by relating with them directly. Don't employ your husband as your mediator. Communicate directly with your in-laws. Try as much as possible to avoid using a third party to reach out to them. Invite your sister-in-law to dinner yourself, or your mother-in-law to inform of an important issue. Talk to your father-in-law about something that he said that hurt you. This shows them that you aren't the proud person they assumed you to be and that you value having them in your family circle. Tip number 6, be true to yourself. In addition to setting boundaries, don't aim of winning the approval of your in-laws by any means. Choose what is right for you and your family. Displeasing oneself to placate difficult in-laws hardly softens their hearts, and what's more is that they're likely to push for more. Avoid that. It will only make you bitter and frustrated. Be sure to only make promises you can keep and don't make promises out of compulsion. When you attempt to change your personality or lifestyle to fit into the cast that they've molded for you, this isn't an option at all. If your husband lives in a farm in Alabama and knows how to milk cows and to churn their own butter, don't try and force your New York bred self to become like your in-laws. Be yourself. They will eventually accept you for who you are. Expectedly, you will have your personal opinions regarding many family issues like child rearing, visits, holidays and finances. But conflicts arise when your in-laws hold differing opinions on these same issues and there is no compromise. When you're unable to find a common ground, it becomes stressful to relate with them and you may classify them as difficult. Respect their opinions and beliefs and don't try to enforce any on them, and make your stance on life's most important matters clear. Tip number 7, be kind. This doesn't mean you should play the sacrificial lamb with everybody walking lording over you. That won't be good for your mental health. However, you should try and consider things from your mother-in-law's perspective. She may be feeling that she has lost her son to you, or may just be feeling resentful. Kill your in-laws' meanness with kindness. Notice her and duly compliment her on the good things she does, or something nice she's wearing. Commendations have a way of diffusing negative energy and making the other person relaxed, but don't flatter in a disingenuous way. Magnify the good and praise them for a genuinely tasty meal or for some noble actions. No one is bad in all entirety, so look closer and you'll see something good to commend. When you stereotype someone, you will have expectations, either negative or positive, of how you assume they should behave. And one thing with stereotyping is that when the expectations are unmet, you may write the person off. It is wrong to assume your mother-in-law will act exactly how you believe a typical mother-in-law would behave. People are different. Avoid assuming things about your in-laws and try to get to know them better. You never know. You may find a great friend in your wicked sister-in-law. And even if your in-laws do come up short, at least you've tried. Tip number 9, maintain your cool. Elegant women do not blow their top off easily. Try and maintain a cool, confident and calm demeanor at all times. Your in-laws' perception of who you are doesn't define you at all. How they choose to treat you is their own cup of tea, and it's not your fault that they don't see the beautiful, loving, elegant woman that you are. Never match their insults with insults or be dragged down to hurling abuse at each other. The person that will get hurt the most is the person you care the most about, who is your husband. If things get heated, excuse yourself and go outside, get some fresh air and clear your head. Walk back when you're calm and signal to your spouse that you would like to go back home. Last but by no means least, number 10, be prepared. Unfortunately, ladies, being prepared means you may need to expect the worst and brace yourself whenever you are meeting up with your in-laws. Toughen up and don't let the wrong things that they say or do rub you up the wrong way. You have the power to decide who hurts you, so deny them that chance. Their nasty behavior will hurt, but not as deeply as when you are not mentally prepared. Ladies, the above list is not exhaustive, as there are so many ways to deal with difficult in-laws elegantly. However, I do hope this provides you with the blueprints to deal with difficult in-laws with elegance, class and grace. Thank you very much for watching.